says we're going live, but I think we are live. Let's see here. Yeah, you know what the problem is? I don't know how to work. I don't know how to work any of this. So when you see other streamers deploy ads during an important moment, what? Insert ad. All this they want all immediately. They want me to like insert ads. It's like no, like I'm not here for ads. Oh, someone said I'm live. Thank you. That's good to know. The
There you
current
go.
stream's bit rate is lower than the recommended. Don't tell me what to do,
I
YouTube.
figured you knew what you were doing since the CrowdStrike stream, but that's okay.
You thought you may have thought wrong there. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see who's. I can't see anything. Whatever. We're live. I got Jesse. If people don't know people know me, but if you don't know Jesse, Jesse is my right hand guy. He's been my lead solutions architect on my team. I've been working with Jesse since 2010. 14 years now. He had to be sick of hearing me.
That's a
Um,
long.
it's a long time.
Good
Uh,
morning.
say something again?
Good morning. Hello. One, two, three.
Yeah, you're fine.
There.
Capture moments as they happen. I'm just looking at this YouTube thing. Okay. So we are here today to celebrate the official beta launch of. What did she say? Hey, I've got my volume maxed. Hold on, Lisa's talking to me. She's probably mad that I'm addressing her. Yeah, I don't know, Lisa. None of this is. We don't really know what we're doing, so whatever. We're
Just
figuring
along
it
for the
out.
ride.
What'd you say, Jesse?
No, I'm just along for the ride here.
Jesse's along for the ride. Um, Whatever. We'll figure it out. We're not really set up for streaming, but we're doing it anyway. One day we'll have to sit down and figure it out. Anyway, we are here. We are ready to talk about the Intune device migration tool. Today, the beta for the V7 launches. We're probably going to end up going live to everybody sooner rather than later, just due to some back-end changes. We're going to answer questions. We're going to build it together in real time. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go download it. I'm going to show you the new documentation. We're going to try to migrate two devices. We're going to migrate from one Intune tenant to another, and we're going to migrate from like just domain joined only to full Entra ID, Azure AD join, Intune manage. And that's what we're going to do today. So I do see a question already. 1,600 schools. Project over 4 years to migrate to a central Intune. Your tool will be able to assist with many domains to one tenant. Yes. So let's talk about this. So I'm gonna go to. All right. So one of the nice things here, and I'm gonna put this in the chat, is this is live. This is the official documentation site that is now hosted on GitHub pages. So this is. Oh, there's some lag when I look at the thing. That's okay. So this is the full documentation for the solution. Talks about the latest updates. There's a link to watch the demo series on here, and it's pretty good. It's MK Docs, basically. So let's just kind of walk through it. Overview, little spiel on why this was created. If you don't care, you can move on. But I think it's important to talk about. We added some new design architecture, and everything has Lightbox enabled. So how does it work? This is our latest diagram, and we'll go through it together first. But at least you can see it. You can save the images, blow them up, and then there's another link to the demo. The phase, and then each phase, I slice the design architecture up. So if you want to get phase 1, here's what it does, and this is the workflow. Phase 2, this is what it does, the workflow, some code examples. So should add a little more clarity to what's going on as opposed to picking apart, the scripts. We have some basic assumptions, just high level. Because there are a lot of questions like, well, what if I'm this, and what if the device is in this state? And I think it's important to, we want to make sure that we're doing all those. Yeah, no, autopilot is not required. it can handle autopilot um, dynamically if you're using it. If not, you don't have to use autopilot. Um, prior to device migration. So this is very important. I do want to stop and talk about this. Prior to device migration, right? So if we're talking about migration, right? So the scenario where up here, right, we have we're moving a device from Intune, tenant A to tenant B. Identity migration must occur. Okay, so if you're you know John Johnson at company A, you have to have an identity in John Johnson tenant B in order to move over. You have to have something to move over to. Intune has to be set up there. You got to do all that work first. And I don't deal with identity migrations. There's a million tools that do that. There's ton of folks that do that. Migrate. What is it, Jesse? Like the mailbox, the what am I missing? SharePoint.
SharePoint, yeah.
Bunch of
Exchange,
stuff.
like all that, yeah.
Yeah, you got to move all that stuff. This is device migration. So there's other tools out there to do that. So that has to be done if you're doing the migration. And then, yeah, so there are requirements. From a requirements standpoint, I try to make everything dynamic. So if this is a migration versus just domain to cloud, that's how I think I got to come up with a better way to refer to that, right? When I talk about migration, I'm talking about tenant to tenant. When I'm talking about, just going domain joined to cloud, I'm just going to call it domain to cloud. Can't name these things anymore, but whatever. It's open source. So I shouldn't be expected to name everything. All right, Jesse, you can name it.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically we go over the requirements. I'm not going to go over them all here. A lot of these are also basic Intune requirements. But essentially, if you are migrating, you have to meet them in both tenants. And it's all laid out here, right? We have a nice little section on graph permissions. By the way, this page comes in dark mode as well. Got that right up at the top, thanks to that toggle. But yeah, so all your graph permissions. And the reason why I've gotten it, and one thing you'll notice for V7 is we really shrunk the permissions down. In previous versions, 6.1, 6.2, I think it was double. It was about 8 permissions, but we've gotten a little craftier, and we try to mitigate how many we need. So this, you can see the permission and why we have it, and yeah, and then some additional components. The Windows Configuration Designer, that's how we make the bulk primary refresh token. I know in some situations we do have a problem with that. Did you know that your package is in the GitHub? I didn't. Thank you. We should probably actually take that down if that's the case. We've been going like nonstop, staying up till 1 a.m. doing this. It's pretty insane. Let's see if we can. Thank you for calling that out. And that's the point of this, right? We're all kind of exploring together. Yeah, that's no good. Let's do that.
Yeah, we don't want to go into that tenant. That's all.
I mean, yeah, you don't want to go in there. It's a messy tenant. It's not good. Let's delete that. Edit in place. Can I just delete from here? No, hold on a second. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this the proper way. So just hang tight. Thank you for pointing that out, though. I appreciate it.
We should just leave it there. See what random devices pop up.
Yeah, maybe.
In, but
yeah, you won't be able to log in, but it's a good little test. Okay, space migration. Okay.
Steve, I did look through the doc. However, I don't know if I missed any call out with, and because I know this is something we ran into as a slight gotcha at times with conditional access and MS.
Yes, that's we're gonna talk about that today, and we're going to hold on here. Let me refresh.
Yeah, that was the only extra thing on my mind after I reread the
package is gone. So that's Ben Morris who called that out. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, if you already grabbed it, then whatever. I mean, again, it's not going to help you. You won't be able to log in, but we're keeping it loose. All right, so we'll come back to that in a second. So a few things, yeah, the Windows config designer for the package. There is the alternative using AAD internals. Um, I definitely want to add that at some point, but this is evolving. We're gonna keep doing that. So Win32 content prep tool, we're including that now in the solution just as a make things easier. If you don't already have it, it's included. Most people have it if they work with Intune. Visual Studio Code just basically needs some kind of editor, and why not? Pretty much made it easier to get here. And this was another tool that we've been using recently, open source by Martin H. It's an Intune network requirements tool. So if you find that it's your first time working with Intune and you are having issues, this is a great tool to just tell you what ports are problematic. So figured we would include that. Cool. And then I'm not going to read through the deployment guide. We're actually going to do it. But the deployment guide should give you all the information. And luckily with the way MKDocs is built, it kind of assembled this nice table. This is the kind of stuff Jesse likes. Nice, organized, neat, concise.
And the dark mode.
Refreshing doesn't work, so I can't help the chat. Sorry. Lisa's having problems. That's okay. Anyway, so let's see here. Start by downloading the yeah, so we kind of walk through it in sections, right? Downloading the solution, making the provisioning package. You can jump to certain steps. So we walk through the whole thing, right? Which is really helpful. Can this do machines one at a time as well as in bulk? What are the bulk limits, such as how many devices? Well, I'll show you as we get into it. I mean, essentially, it's the same as deploying an application. So, if through Intune or to anything. So, I mean, the only thing that's actually happening on the graph side is getting enrolled in the new tenant. So, I mean, you can do it one at a time. You can do it bulk. I don't think it matters. I think if you were to in bulk, I'd imagine if you were to start doing batches over 500 at once, you could see some slowdown in enrollment. I don't know. What do you think about that, Jesse? Hold on, wait.
Yeah,
wait. It's saying ads will run. I am skipping ads for this. This is not a. We're not gonna be run. We're not doing that. We're not running ads. So if I missed one, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try to knock them all as they come up. Go ahead, Jesse.
Sorry, YouTube. No, I'm not aware of any limits in general with, running the bulk package to Entra. Join an Intune, there could be hundreds of devices enrolling at once, no problem. But yeah, so that should be an issue. I guess depending on how you're deploying it, whatever, if you're pushing it through the domain or using a different RMM tool that you happen to have, right? I'd assume there won't be too much of a limit there either. But yeah, that would be the only dependency.
True. Yeah, Ben asked a good question about the API permissions because they're in the script. This is something we've been looking at a lot. We tried using webhooks. The problem is there's so much real-time communication between info we have to get from the graph and right to the registry. Here's what I say. I mean, the recommended approach is to deploy this with a package. So when you look at the Intune to Intune scenario, pushing this in a package. We're not pushing scripts. So it's obfuscated. End users they won't see the package, right? The package doesn't stay. All this data is completely obfuscated, right? Especially if they're a standard user. So that's probably the best way to do it. The other way is to, it's more cumbersome, but you can essentially set the credentials to be live for, the amount of time as a migration. So you're mitigating that. We are looking into some stuff using webhooks. Again, the problem is just that it's not just one job that goes up, it's a back and forth. So that's my best answer on that. But it's also one of the go ahead, Jesse. What's up?
No, I was going to say, I think you said the easiest method there, just change the client secret on your app regis once you're done with the process, just for peace of mind. That's for now, at least the solution.
Yeah, and they are obfuscated in the Intune Win package, right, Jesse?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I guess is if you have any additional logging policy for PowerShell scripts, you might just want to verify that as well. But otherwise, yeah, by default, that's not going to log locally in plain text anywhere.
Right, and in the built-in logs, which we are writing to the Intune log directory, we are not writing out the client secret, the ID, any of that. So it's a trade-off, right? It's also, the convenience of migrating the devices. So there's a lot of trade-offs with this type of stuff. So I try to be pretty transparent about it. Yeah, so this deployment guide kind of gives you everything you need to know. Few FAQs. I'm going to actually be adding that one, but, there's only so much time. And technical references, this is just, there's a lot of terms when we talk about this. There's a lot with, everything, the Intune Win file, graph APIs, and for folks who are kind of getting into it, it's a good little reference. If we're not sure, say, hey, you keep saying join or this or client secret. So we just have these little references here. So it's a start. This will be growing as the solution keeps growing, but now we kind of have a home that's a knowledge base for all this stuff with a direct link to all the videos here. So that's that. So let's get into building this out. So I have two scenarios. The first one, I'm going to show you what I have. Yeah, we're looking at Azure Functions. That's and automation accounts. There's versions that are testing with that. It's just the back and forth, but we'll see. It's definitely there's a lot of things we're exploring that didn't make it into V7 just due to time. But I think as long as there's community interest, we're gonna keep it going because there is a need. I think the funny thing, Jesse, is the domain to cloud seems to be the most, from the surveys we did, it's the one everyone's interested in. It's also the one that there's a lot of other Microsoft MVPs, and I'm a Microsoft MVP if you don't know, but there's a lot of other MVPs, and even Microsoft, they're like, don't do that, don't migrate from domain to cloud. Look, and I'll say this here, I've said it all the time, I get it. It would be much better if we can wipe devices, or as people who sell computers would probably want to say, it would be better to just buy everyone a new PC if you're moving to an organization. It's not a reality, though. So,
yeah, I don't know if people were just afraid of like the lingering, settings and such from. That can happen even in the cloud to cloud, of course, right? Like if there's any lingering policies for any reason, but I don't know if it was just that or the additional steps that we kind of had to figure out as well to really get rid of all traces of whatever prior to enrolling in the new tenant, but it's doable.
It's doable. It works. Another question I get is, who's used this, or what if? Between in a professional capacity and throughout the community, this is not new. Jesse, we've been doing this since 2022, I think, or late 21 when we started, and obviously it wasn't where it is now. I would say there's close to 100,000 devices that have been migrated through this, give or take, between just different organizations we work with. So it's viable. Is there any branding that can be added to the lock screen caption? I'll show you where that is in the script. It's definitely, by default, ads will run shortly. Jesus, these ads, man. So what if I'm going to skip them, but if I were to let them run, what happens? People miss a minute of...
Yeah, the login text, right? We're just defining the text itself for the one policy we're injecting, and then I guess we are doing like a wallpaper set too during that process. So those should be the two main things off.
Oh, I skipped I got to put that back in. I skipped the wallpaper this time, but that's the reason is I forgot. But yeah, we'll go over that in the process when we download it. And Patrick says hi all. Well, hi Patrick. I'm trying. All right, I hit a button to delay it from asking me to run ads. I'm trying not to run ads for this. This is not about money. This is about showing you guys this. Okay. Lisa looks like she's typing something to me. So this machine right here, this will be our domain join test. And I'll kind of just show you the setup. What did I just do? What?
Doesn't look like dsreg to me.
No, I think I typed dsreg instead of command. I
should get the stream up on my phone here so I can see.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you can only chat if you're subscribed, but hold on. Lisa says you don't have to advertise every time I message you. Whatever. All right, so the let's see here. Command, I did dsreg. Okay, so if we look at the command prompt here, dsreg command status, you can see we are on this machine. We are not Entra joined at all or Azure. This is still called Azure joined. So I'm trying to be a good Microsoft citizen and say Entra, but it still says Azure in everything. We're joined to the rubiksdev.com domain. Our name is desktop mmpol52, whatever that is. And I will show you on this. This is my domain controller locally. There's not a lot going on. It's a local lab. I don't use it for much. But there's the machine right there, desktop mmpol52. So we are domain joined. And we have line of sight to this domain. So I can ping it. Ping rubiksdev.com. So that's our first scenario here. For our other scenario, we have autopilot deployed Entra ID join machine. And let's take a look at this. Blow that up a little bit. This is dsreg command status. Let's look at this. We are, yes, Entra ID join. Are there any additional steps if the machine is encrypted? Sure are. We're going to get to those. Yes, Azure AD joined. We are in the Steve capacity tenant, and we have a primary refresh token, and we're all good to go. You know what I'm going to do, just to show some stuff, though? I have some dummy data, because I want to show how the user profile stays intact. So let me grab some of my local share dummy data. Just bear with me. Should have done this before, but we're professionals, and professionals make mistakes. Okay, so I'm actually gonna, I got pretty fast at this, so desktop, documents, yeah, look at that, downloads, and pictures. Okay, so I mean, this is my, if I go to users, this is me, Luke Skywalker. I'm Entra ID joined. I have a bunch of stuff in my downloads, documents, desktop. We're Intune enrolled, so we have the company portal app. So this is a cloud machine. All right, so let's start building out this solution. What do I have here? Apps. I have no apps available. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my main workstation. So I'm just going to come up here, and I'm going to download this, download the zip, and follow. Let's see if I can follow my own instructions. I think that's going to be the challenge here.
Cool.
I'm going to extract it to C. Intune Device Migration. There it is. And I'm really concerned with the device migration route here. Hold on, why am I getting some messages? Close that. Okay. So the device migration route is where I want to be. So these are all the files. So before I do anything, I am going to, I'm actually going to open this with VS Code. The really only file we need to edit is the config.json. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. The first thing we have to do, so I'm in a situation like this where we're doing tenant to tenant, I need credentials in the source tenant and the destination tenant. So let's head over first to the source tenant. I'm doing everything as a global admin. If you want to be granular and only use permissions that can do certain things like make app regs or Intune admin, I mean, obviously you're welcome to do that. But for the sake of this, and I have small labs, I'm just using global admin. So let's start. I'm going to go to applications, app registrations, and I'm going to make a new registration. I'm going to call this Intune Device Migration V7. And I'm going to leave everything else alone and just hit register. It's okay if you've never done app registrations, whatever. I mean, it's fairly simple. I'm going to show you everything. Obviously, it helps if you have experience in this. we want to first grab that client ID. So for the source tenant, I'm going to come into the source tenant section and replace this with my client ID. Okay, and that's in the quotes there. Tenant name, I'm going to add stevecapacity.com. That's just the whatever.com that you have. Cool. So if we go back, we have to add permissions to this app. So we're going to click add permission. Microsoft Graph application permissions. And I'm going to search device. So the first thing I need is... Oh, give me a second here. I want to make sure I follow our guide. Requirements. Okay, so these are the 4 I'm going to look to add, right? Device, read, write all. Device management, manage devices, read, write all. Device management service config, read, write all. So devices, read, write all. Device manage devices, read, write all. Device management service config, read, write all. Okay? How'd we do? Perfect. And now we just need to search user and get the user read all. Users read all. And we'll add the permissions. Now, it's very important. Just by adding these permissions, they're not added until you click the grant. So we'll give it a second. Okay, and it tells you here in status, not granted, right? So we have to hit grant admin consent. And these should flip to green. Yep, we are completely consented now. We're going to go to clients and secrets. We're going to make a new client secret. I hate naming these, Jesse. What should the name be for the secret?
Migration test 1. I don't know.
Migration secret 1. And this is kind of what we were talking about, Jesse, right? Like,
yeah, like you could technically delete and you know, even create a new client secret at any time. However, if you have a planned migration period where you know you're going to be kicking things off and roughly finishing, then this is a good way to kind of set that limit as well.
yeah, I'm gonna make mine good for a day. Like, just to show you how granular you can get. Very important. You can only grab this once. And I put a thing in the docs to know that we don't want the secret ID. That's nonsense. We want the secret value. And you have to click the copy here. So before you close away from this, make sure you go back here and paste it in your solution. Because that's the only time you can get this. If you come back, you know, it's not going to be here. And I'll show you. I don't know if it's the session or it's the... Let's see if I'm just going to navigate away and try to come back to it. Intune Device Migration, Clients and Secrets. Maybe I have to sign out and sign in. Well, it goes away, is what I'm trying to tell you, the minute your session is done. So you can't come back and get this later, so make sure you get it now. And that's it for the source tenant. I'm going to do the same thing for the destination tenant. I'm going to go to Intra. If you're just doing domain to cloud, you don't need to do the obviously there's no destination. You only have one tenant, right? So you would just do that and you'd be done. And you can even go as far as to, I clicked the wrong thing. You can go as far as to remove this code block if you wanted to, and just leave it empty. Which I say in my in the documentation. So you can leave that empty if you wanted to. We are going to, let's see. Let's see here. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so Rubik's div. We are going to applications, app registrations, and same thing. I'm going to make a new registration. I'm going to call it Intune. Yep, I spelled it wrong, Jesse.
That's okay.
Register.
Find it by the ID later.
What'd you say?
You always find it by the ID later.
We could always find it by the ID later. That's correct. Okay, so I'm going to put my client ID for the target tenant. I use target and destination interchangeably. Target's easier to write in code. Destination sounds better when we're talking about it, but I refuse to standardize. So, whatever. That's where we are. There are certain problems that are self-perpetuated that I don't really have an answer for. Application, device, read, write all, device management, not that one. Manage devices, read, write all, service config. I believe, I should probably update the docs. I believe we're only using the service config because of autopilot. If you're not using autopilot, you don't need service config. But I will verify that and add it to the docs. But again, these should be obfuscated from the end user. Okay, users, read all. And it's not perfect. We're here for feedback, right? That's why I wanted to open this up with everybody. So it's just a big party. Let's grant that consent. Certificates and secrets, new secret. Migration test 1. Same thing. I'm going to make this good for a day. Obviously, that's not viable. Probably want to make it longer, but whatever. Grab my secret value. I'm going to paste that in here. And I just have to remember to put in my rubixdev.com. Okay. To finish off the config file while we're here, I want to talk about these. So group tag. As you know, the group tag, the way we do it, it's an autopilot attribute, right? And you can use it to put devices in dynamic groups. What we do with the value here is we insert it directly to the Entra object. So as soon as you migrate it, you don't have to wait for autopilot registration for it to get sucked in a group. So there's 2 ways you can do this. One is you can leave it empty. If you leave it empty, what it'll do is it'll just won't care. You don't have to use a group tag. Or if you're already using a group tag, so I'll show you real quick my device here, my Intune device. Let's look it up here real quick. What's its name? Its name is SC563. Okay. SC563. Let's go look it up real quick. SC563. There it is. This device has a... Oh, it's the wrong place. I want to look in enrollment for autopilot. This device has a group tag. It's actually this one right here. Yep, 563. Its group tag is M365. So if I leave this... if I leave the value empty, the script will attempt to look... It'll look in autopilot and get that tag and set that tag. If I don't have autopilot and I plan to use it, or I just want to add a tag for when the device joins Entra, I can add a tag here, and I could say, my new tag, whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to leave it empty because I want to keep my tag the same, because I'm using that tag in my target tenant. So either way is okay. BitLocker. So this was the last question I believe we had. So with BitLocker, you can do 2 things. You can migrate or decrypt. If we do migrate, it's going to grab the current key and just escrow it to the new tenant. Now, I believe I have BitLocker on this machine. If not, I should... Oh, no, I don't have BitLocker settings on. Let me pump those on real quick in Intune. I don't know why that wouldn't be on. Probably because I rushed this tenant, the source tenant. Not everything's perfect. New policy. Templates. Still like it this way, Jesse? Endpoint protection?
Honestly, I've been doing the endpoint security way lately just because of the few additional options.
Okay.
Especially because, even like converting group policy for folks, sometimes like they use the extra settings like the identifiers, and you could also control use space versus full disk, a couple of extra goodies in the newest one lately.
Mm-hmm. We are gonna do the hybrid stuff after this. So name, we'll call this BitLocker settings. Enabled, disabled, enabled.
I think the question there, I just read in the chat, is to migrate to hybrid, or am I reading that incorrectly?
I don't know. Can you show what we should set up to migrate hybrid join devices? Is that to autopilot? So we can do domain or hybrid to full Entra. Nothing we do will have a destination of hybrid join. It's not recommended. It's not really supported. And at that point, this wouldn't be the solution to that. So our destination is always going to be cloud join, which we're already in Intune. Oh yeah, you'll be able to use this to you'll be able to follow when I show the domain join steps. You'll be able to follow them to take a device in Intune that's hybrid and put it in Intune. Although I will say with that, there's probably not as much benefit, because if you're already in Intune, I don't know how much you'll gain from switching the join type, right? Something to think about, right? And those are conversations we can have. It just might be a lot of work for, I don't know about the benefit, right? Enforce on operating system drives, only space used encryption, require additional, no, disabled. I don't need any of that. What am I missing, Jesse?
Just the recovery.
Leave it. Can I leave it default?
Yeah, I mean, some of these I usually flip on, but it should be fine either way.
Where is it escrow to Azure? Is that just automatic now?
Well, it's labeled as ADDS now, technically.
What? Do not enable BitLocker until recovery information is stored.
Well, that's the one we're confirmed. The key is actually escrowed somewhere before. Yeah, but then there's the other one, 2 down.
Yeah, there. Okay.
Yeah, it's all labeled ADDS technically, but
that's confusing.
It is. Yeah, for cloud native, obviously we'll go to cloud. If it's a hybrid join system, last time I spoke to a resource, they said it's kind of could be one or the other where it escrows to, but
that's annoying.
Yeah.
Well, that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so hopefully the BitLocker will kick in by the time we get going with this. So the point is, what was my point? I get sidetracked easily. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it to migrate. If we were to switch this to decrypt, if this were decrypt, what it'll do, because let's say you're in one tenant and there's one kind of encryption method, but in the target tenant, it's a different kind. The migrate won't work, so we're going to want to decrypt. So this will actually just decrypt the drive, and you'll be able to let your target Intune re-encrypt it. Non-Intune to MDM. No, so that's so a fellow MVP and friend, John Tolles, I've been working with. He took this solution and made a version that is ideal for Workspace 1 to Intune migration. And I'll drop the link in there. It's Mobile John, if you don't follow him already, and he's got that tackled. But now I'm just focusing on from Intune. Okay, and so yeah, if you decrypt, that'll just decrypt. I'm going to leave mine as migrate. SCCM. So this is a big addition to the tool. So if you're co-managed or SCCM managed, in addition to domain join, you have the option to turn this to true. If you turn this true option, not like that. If you turn this to true, it'll run a function to uninstall SCCM basically. So if you wanted to go from co-managed to pure Intune, you can do that as well. And that's just a true or false value. I don't have SCCM on the machine, so I'm going to leave it as false. But the function is built in to the start migrate. All right, so that should be the only thing you're configuring. I don't recommend changing these paths up here. I'll probably end up hard coding them in the future, but for now they're there. So I would just leave them alone. There's no reason to really touch them. So we have our source creds, we have our target creds. I'm leaving group tag empty, BitLocker set to migrate, and SCCM is set to false. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I'm going to go ahead and, did I save all? Always make sure you save all. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to run my Win app util right here, run it as administrator. Excuse me. And I'm going to make the source folder the current directory. Start migrate is your setup file, and I'm going to spit it back out. And now we have our start migrate Intune Win. So this will go in the source tenant.
Steve, do we have the PPKG?
What?
Do we have the bulk provisioning package?
No, actually, that's a good call. I had to do that. Let me delete that. Good call, Jesse.
Sorry,
That's why you're here.
I was delayed there for a second, but yeah.
No, that's why you're here. So with this tool, you can basically create the package, deploy it to all users' devices as available. Yes, correct. Obviously, there's a lot of heavy comms with that. I'll show you a recommended method when I deploy this. But as Jesse pointed out, what we have to do is we have to create the bulk provisioning package. So what the bulk provisioning package is going to do is when we take a device out of enrollment and remove it from entry in the source, it's not going to know where to go, right? Because we don't want to rely on user sign-in. So the bulk package gets installed and points the device towards the correct tenant when we set up the user account. So let's go ahead and create that. Those steps are in there as well. So to do this, you're gonna want to go to the Microsoft Store and download this tool if you don't have it already. The link to it's in the docs, obviously, so you're good there. Windows Configuration Designer. So this is the tool. I already have it, so I'm going to open it up.
I almost let you forget that one.
Yeah, that would have been, we would have been scratching our hands when it didn't migrate. So, yeah, so make sure you follow the instructions. Be like me just winging it. You want to provision desktop devices. We'll call this Intune Device Migration V7.
And add on to the last question, by the way, for a couple other folks where, they weren't necessarily fully using Intune or even in Intune at all, and to still kind of make the package available, on demand, so to speak. I've even set it up where we just download the files locally, kind of hide them somewhere, and then even just create like start menu, shortcut LNK file so that they just click it and then it kicks off the whole process as well. So you could potentially modify the packages to do something clever like that.
You could do that as well, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot, and that we'll talk about that when we talk about the domain one, because I'm going to show a very different delivery mechanism. But in here, there's only a few values we have to do. In fact, I would recommend not touching anything more than you have to. So I'm going to name mine Rubix-random 5 characters. Next, I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi network connection because I'm not deploying one. This is really the bulk of why we're in here, this account management. We want to click Enroll in Azure AD, refresh AAD credentials, and then you can pick the expiration. So just like the secret, this token you can set the expiration for. It has a max of 6 months, so I'm going to leave that alone. These can be a little finicky sometimes. I've seen them die after 30 days, so just keep that in mind. There's an alternate method to get this token, and we'll talk about that in the future. I didn't have time to prepare that for today and for the docs, but we'll get on that, obviously. But for now, we're going to click Get Bulk Token. And this is going to be where the device is going. So right now, because I'm doing a migration, this is going to be the destination tenant. If you're just doing domain to cloud, this is your one source tenant. So I'm going to put in my destination, rubixdev.com. I'm going to sign in. If this is your first time, you might be asked to grant permissions. Very important. Uncheck this. We don't need it. And click sign into this app only.
Doesn't matter if you block BYO technically, but
correct.
Why bother?
Bulk token fetched successfully. So I have the token. If you want, you can put in a local admin if you don't have one. It's not necessary, but if, in the event something fails and you're not sure if there's a local admin, you can add credentials here to do that and then pull them out later. I'm not going to do that. I'm probably going to regret it later, but whatever. Just next your way to the end and hit create.
I think if you've generally verified your network connectivity to Microsoft endpoints overall, then
Should be good.
you should be good.
So this is where Windows outputs the package. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go to my package location, device migration, and I'm going to paste that in here. So now that we have the provisioning package, we're good to make our app.
Now we can wrap it. And do you have to name the package?
No, you don't have to name it anymore. We can look for any PPKG file. So name it whatever you want to name it. So now we have our Intune Win, and we're going to deploy this to the source tenant. So I'm going to go to Apps, Windows, and I'm going to add an app. The app type is Windows App Win32. And let's go find that file. So we're going to go to C Intune Device Migration, and there's the Intune Win. And again, I'm trying to skip all these ads. If any pop up, I apologize. I'm juggling. I'm also not good at this, so that's why Jesse's here to point out when I mess up. Intune Device Migration.
Yeah, I'm not the one streaming. I would have offered to help with that.
That's fine. You got to write this in Markdown, so we'll say Device Migration Tool V7. This app will migrate you. Obviously, make that whatever you want. What is this? Okay. So, publisher, put whatever you want. I'm going to put myself. You're doing great. Thank you. I appreciate that. App version 7. Actually, we'll do 7.0 in case there's revisions later. It's good to put an image for something. I always forget the one I like. Actually, I don't think I have anything here. Let's go find an icon real quick.
Yeah, we don't need the shake logo.
I don't know. I kind of like that. Migration. Oh, this is Bing or something? What the heck? No one's going to Bing anything. Stop. Migration icon.
Yeah, the description, we put full-on warnings like, oh, this is a
here it is. This is the
solution,
one.
make sure you have your data saved.
Yeah. Obviously, comms is very important, and I don't like to... That's a weird thing. That's not a PNG.
But, of course, we also didn't make the package available to folks either until we knew they were generally ready to go, right? Identity-wise and all that. So, but yeah,
yes.
Communication in general, for sure.
Yeah. There's a whole... I'll be adding like a run book of like best practices for deploying this in your organization. Can Big be any less useful? I mean, just stop trying. You literally, here's the thing, Microsoft. You took Edge and noticed it was hot garbage. So you rebuilt it on the Chromium platform, which is Google. But you refuse to admit that Bing is garbage. Just stop. Stop trying to make Bing happen. It's not going to happen. I know that's from a movie, but I don't know the actual reference. Stop trying to make X happen. Jesse, do you know what that is?
No, I'm drawing a blank, quite frankly.
Okay. Well, we know it's probably not a good movie because we know really good movies. All right. So that's my little image. So now for the install command line, we have to do, just to make sure it runs in the correct PowerShell, we're going to add winder. Bring back Clippy. Hell yeah, bring back Clippy. That's Copilot. This is Clippy in disguise. Winder, sysnative.
Sysnative.
Jesse will tell me if I mess this up.
I gotta put this up, actually. I can't see.
He's like, I can't see. Mean Girls. Oh, really? Excuse me. I should have muted that phlegm, but it's live. Bypass. Start. Migrate. Again, this is all in the docs, so don't, you're going to look what I'm doing and write it down. This is in the docs. That's my
good, though.
install command. What, Jesse?
No, it looks good.
Okay. Don't need an uninstall for this. There's nothing to uninstall, so we're going to leave it as an asterisk. Yeah.
Yeah, sysnative, by the way, is the way to basically get it to run 64-bit PowerShell right out of the gate from the Intune Win package.
Correct. We only want it to run on 64-bit systems. You can pick your minimum version. I don't really care right now. Probably 22H2 or something, but again, doesn't really matter. We're going to manually configure the detection rules, and we are going to add a file path. So if I show you the... What did I do? Did I already, like... hold on. Where's the solution? Is this it? Device migration. Let me open it in code. So in start migrate, there's a lot here, so I don't really feel like... I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But there is a...
Is it the tag file?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we set this item for Intune. It's called... it's in the local path from the JSON install.tag, and that's how we know it installs correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that here. So we're going to do C program data Intune migration, and the file is install.tag, and we're going to make sure it exists. That's how you know it got installed. Intune really can't detect if it migrated. It's not that sophisticated, so this is just so we know the package was received. I'm going to leave assignments alone for the moment and just create this app. Okay, so what I want to do, so which user is on this machine? Let's bounce up for a second. This is Luke Skywalker is assigned to this machine. So the idea with assignment is I want to make a group, and these are user groups, right? So I'm going to call my group name is migration wave 1. First wave of migration users. And I'm gonna, you can throw members in it. So I'm gonna throw Luke in it, and you know, you can throw whoever you want in it. And the idea of this is, now that I have that group, I can go back to the app and I can make this available. So I'm going to go down to assignments, and I'm going to make this available to a certain group, and that'll be my migration wave 1 group. So basically, as I add more users, I can just throw them in there, right? And you can have a few different groups, wave 1, wave 2, and just make sure you're moving them around. So we'll let that sync for a second, and then what we should do is we should see that in here. Let me give this a little bit of a reboot. It's faster than syncing. Updates. I don't have any updates.
Yeah, available new apps. It can be a little slow sometimes. The reboot is definitely.
Well, I don't want it to be slow, but if we have to, we'll find something to do in the meantime. Ads will run shortly. Skip ads. Delay ads. The ads are bothering me, and I'm the content creator. I can't turn them off for the whole thing. Maybe there's a way to do it. I just don't know, but they're bothering me. Okay. What'd you say? Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, even if I like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. What does that mean? People are gonna. It's not gonna pause me. So do I have to know to stop, or people gotta whatever? Okay. So here's our app. It's available. I'm so sick of Teams popping up. It's not even funny. That's okay. All right, let me get a few things ready for us to go through this with. So I want to look in here. Clippy would know how to turn ads. You're right. Clippy would know, man. That's why I'm all for bringing them back. So we're going to look at a few things. So there's my device with the group tag. It's this one. So we're going to do this. And hope we didn't break anything. I'm going to click install as the end user. Are my notifications on? They are. Let's just click install, see what happens. This is a part we're working on. The toast notification here is inconsistent, so we're building our own pop-up, letting users know that this will happen. That's coming. That'll be like a 7.1 thing. It just didn't make this cut. But yeah, we're just going to sit here and migrate this thing into the rubiksdev.com tenant. Live.
See, now would be a good time for the ads. No, I'm just
No, this would be an annoying time for the ads. How's everyone?
Yeah, what I've noticed with this art here, like if you are curious and tracking the app status in the old tenant, or source tenant, excuse me, it basically will show like a pending status for a bit. And I mean, ultimately, Intune Record's going to get deleted anyway.
All right, I just realized that.
From there.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've still seen it just a little delayed there, and it'll show like a pending, and then eventually it wipes out that record in the status.
And that's a good point, though. If it's being delayed, kind of doesn't really matter. Good call. Good call.
Download pending.
One of the new I'll take a second to talk about one of the new things we do, because I was asked how we eliminate the sign-in after this. Like the user, basically what happens is the new user profile is going to get created based on a search. So this is luke.skywalker@stevecapacity.com. It's going to search the new tenant for a UPN that is luke.skywalker. And if it finds it, it's going to go ahead and make that the new profile. If it can't find it, it would then prompt for a sign-in. So I would have to be able to sign in just like a normal Microsoft OAuth sign-in to validate I am who I am, and then it can get the SID and build the profile. So that's a little bit smoother than relying on the user to sign in for the first time to the new tenant. So what is happening here?
I don't know if you checked for any pending Windows updates or anything prior.
Well, I just restarted, and you know, it's Intune's just syncing. Can I hit sync here? Is that going to do anything? Download pending. This is exciting. Oh, there we go.
There it goes.
Now it's going. Okay.
No, what I've done though, what I've seen people do is like if you have a fairly fresh setup on a device, and then you're going to test, not even that's just downloading any app on demand. Period.
Yeah.
Like it might say download pending for a while if either other apps are coming down, or if you have Windows updates actually pending on the system too. So that's why I asked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of factors for things. That's what makes it so. That's what makes it so intriguing. So this shouldn't be too much longer. Once it hits, it's pretty immediate. This is more of an Intune thing, probably because it's brand new. I would have preloaded it, but I wanted to do all this live with everybody. If company A used UPN, like Skyward, company B used UPN structure sample, is that workable with tinkering? Yeah, so that's already workable. It would come back as it couldn't find it, and it'll tell the user, hey, sign in with your whatever company credentials, and we'll be able to pull it at that point. So if it can't find it with that search, we just prompt for an OAuth login. Oh, so we're good. We're now restarting.
I know, Steve, we were talking about at one point, like if maybe perhaps there was, I don't know, like a central list somewhere, right, where old and new identities were listed, and this was also part of other identity migration efforts. So that was an idea, and
we'll see.
Probably could still do such a thing.
Now, right here, your PC is being migrated to the Rubik's Dev tenant, so we're just pulling the target name in. Now, if I click OK, the local password has been revoked here. So this migration in progress username is there for people, so they can't do anything here. And this is just to let them know, hey, there's migration in progress. Like, you shouldn't even be touching this. So it just kind of locks them out, right? But that's it. That's the end of the reboots. So at this point, I'll be able to log in with my tenant B credentials.
Yeah, it's definitely nicer to have it now in
Welcome to
reboot.
Rubik's Dev. I know. Log in with your new email address. So Luke Skywalker at rubiksdev.com. It got him. But notice it's not building the profile because the profile's already been built while we waited. And it's not that it's building the profile, it commandeered the old profile. Protection is suspended. I didn't wait till BitLocker finished, I bet. That's okay. It'll figure it out. So let me show you a few things. So if I go to the accounts now, Luke Skywalker at rubiksdev.com. So if I go to Access Work School, it's the only one here. There is no Steve capacity, right? So let's open the File Explorer, though, because the real important thing is if we go to users, they can't log in. It's no longer part of that tenant, so it'll just say wrong username and password. There's good old Teams. I love that Teams keeps popping up in my face. Look at that. There's still only Luke Skywalker. And look at downloads, documents. Everything is still here. But I'm fully ready to work in the new tenant. So like I don't think I have Office on here, but I have OneDrive. So if I were to turn, I'm going to turn OneDrive on. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to kill the Steve capacity OneDrive in there. Interesting. Oh, there's Rubik's Dev. Yeah, so that's still something we're working on with OneDrive.
We do some account cache cleanup, which helps with the work school settings entries and all that.
And it's how you get the user folder to be clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some remnants.
At least even Outlook too, by the way. And
what I will say though is sometimes, so this has been an ask from people, so we're still figuring out how to handle it. So if folks haven't, so let's say your OneDrive hasn't been migrated yet, you can still sign in with the old one to get your files, because if I sign right in with the new one, I'm only going to get the new stuff. And it SSO'd me in because I'm SSO'd into the machine. But that's something we're still kind of thinking about because, we've done it in the past where we clean it up, but some organizations have requested we give the option. There's a lot of room for customizing how you want to do this. But if you look at this, we're in the new tenant and we're good to go. So if I go to company portal, again, I'm focusing right now on the end user perspective because the whole point of this is keeping end users productive and moving. Yep, I'm in the Rubik's Dev portal. I have a device category, thanks to Jesse. Jesse, can we get rid of that? I hate that. Look at my app store. I have all my Rubik's Dev apps, and I'm immediately good to go. So I could just start.
I was actually testing the category selection skip thing.
You're still doing that? Or you were testing it?
I was testing.
Oh, okay. Don't do it right now. It's fine. I'm in and I'm working with Rubik's Dev credentials. And the reason I want to focus on that is because that's the end user's experience. So you can see they were down for a reboot. Like, that's it. There's no, you're going to be down for an hour, Bill. You can't work. None of that. So if I go back to the tenant, let's sync and refresh. So take a look at that. It's gone. The 4627 device. If I go to my Windows, it's not there. Gone. Completely gone. Cleaned up from tenant A. Let's look in tenant B. So Intune Devices. I'll look it up by the serial number. It'll be 4627. It does take some time to actually show here, but we can see it in Entra most likely. So let's look in Entra. 4627. Let's look at the name actually. It should have gotten a new name. One thing you could also do too is if you want to keep the name, we can store the current host name and just put it back. So you don't have to change the name. I joined the party late. Is there documentation on what you covered? Yes, in the live chat at the top, is the new documentation. What does dsreg command list accounts show? That's a good question. Let's test out. Was late to the party. Yeah. So here, let me first show everybody. So Rubix 38305. Rubix 383. Yep. So it hit Entra, and it adjusted the primary username. It's going to take a moment for it to align with the Intune object, but that's okay. Again, these are back-end things that don't affect the end user. So let's try that again. Not in Intune yet. Let me look for the name. It actually already got registered to autopilot too. Oh, and it's here in Intune. It just is not finished fully enrolling on the back end. So, but you can see we got the primary user updated. It looks like magic. 4627. Let's look in autopilot. It's a lot faster than previous versions with the new logic. Enrollment, devices, 4627. It's here. Oh, we might have a logic issue with the group tag because it looks like it added order ID.
Yeah.
We can fix that. That's why we're doing this. So we'll actually fix that before we're done here today, so you all don't get this problem in the, it attached order ID.
Nice catch. Nice catch.
That's why I wanted to do it. I wanted to make sure we're not doing some crap. A few questions. If I go to the new device and do dsreg.
I know status shows the current account correctly, but yeah, I'm curious about list accounts.
Did I not do that correctly? I did. Accounts found 1. RubixDev.com. Yeah, it should just be RubixDev.com. And it should show... Yeah, no, that's good. So we're pretty much all set there. We just got to wait for Intune to catch up. So the real thing everyone wants to see is the domain to cloud migration. Just the one showing. Yeah, worked out pretty good. Is it possible to get the V7 to download to test out? Yeah, so what I'll say is I was doing an early registration, and to do that, I had to shift the GitHub from the way it is to an organizational account. The last second, we had a hiccup. So the... hold on one second. My wife's texting me. That's going to take precedence over all you guys. All right, now we're back. So the beta will be live for everybody. It was going to be just for the registered users, and if you registered, I appreciate it. The surveys were actually really helpful, seeing what people are interested in. There was a technical hiccup. So yeah, the V7 on the documentation page. Up here in the, let's see, in the top is the solution, the top right, and that'll take you right to it. So it will be live today. So yay, bonus. Okay. Imagine if
so far we got to fix that order ID part.
Yeah, we got to fix that. So just hang tight. We are gonna fix that before we move on. There was another question I was answering. DSREG, the pilot documentation we covered. No, I think we covered all the questions. We just got to wait for this thing to sync up with, where is it here? Oh, yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, cool. All right, so let's fix that real quick before we do anything else. So, Jesse, you can help me fix it since you're here.
That's, I guess, yeah. We could start migrate first.
Post migrate.
Post?
Yeah, it's post migrate.
Okay. Well, no. You know what? I was thinking of the config itself.
Oh, yeah, the config was empty. So, primary user. So, group tag. If it's not null or empty, so it's getting the group tag value. That's how it got M365. Group tag equals order ID dot group tag. Let me look at something real quick. Let's look at a previous version. and see what we did there.
Physical IDs equals. I mean, you have to define it in the body.
Yeah, I'm gonna look here real quick just to see what we did wrong. Hang on, folks. We're just doing this live. Okay, the group tag. If the string is not first method, physical IDs, order ID, group tag plus group tag. It looks right. If the string is not null or empty, this group tag. We get the physical IDs. Oh, you know what? I know what happened. This has to be this. Wait. Because that's what I did last time.
We're not hitting the else statement, I assume. Further down.
No, because if we were, it would just move on.
Never mind.
So that's gotta. That's the only thing that's different that I messed up from last time. Yeah, everything else is the same. So I bet it just didn't. Oh, because there's a colon next to it. That's why. So it looked like it was a string. It was one whole string. So when it got added to this, it wasn't parsed correctly.
I'm surprised it landed in the group tag field then, but hey.
Well, because we're shoving it in there. We're shoving it in the physical IDs. We're forcing it. All right, let me edit that to the main branch real quick. Actually, that I can do right from here. I'm going to do that right here. Okay, we're pushing this live. Commit to main. Did I tell anyone?
Do it live.
Do it live. I barely know how to use GitHub. It's amazing that I'm able to get that out there. Okay, so let's take a look now at the solution. Post migrate. There's been a fly down here that's been bothering me. I think I saw him again. I'll have to mess him up. Yeah, group tag. Okay, that should do it. All right, let's hope that's good. Let's talk about the domain migration. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my device migration and I'm going to make a copy of this folder, and I'm going to call it. Here, let's just do this. Let's duplicate or just copy and paste, whatever. I'm making this more difficult.
That's where you just did your last edit, right?
Domain, yeah, domain migration, domain cloud migration. I don't have a good name to this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change some things. So we got to kill the Intune win. We can leave the package alone because my domain is my rubiksdev.com. So I'm going to leave my provisioning package, but I do have to. I have to edit my config file. So I'm going to go to config.json, and I'm just going to remove target tenant because I don't need that. I'm only talking to the source tenant here. Other than that, I think I'm good. So I'm just going to... Now, you can still package this as an app for a current tool set and do it that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stage it on the domain. So there's many ways you can do this. You can have a group policy kick off the initial script. You could store this in a local repository. If you have another RMM tool, people have used Tanium or the script function with entra-join to entra-join migration scenarios without a device reset. Yes, we're going to do that now. Script function with entra. Yeah. So for the sake of packaging this to our domain, I'm just going to put this on a local share for that domain. And we're just going to do it that way.
Yeah, I don't know if this system was technically hybrid or just domain joined, but either way,
This,
it's
yeah, it'll do both. This system here, I believe, is just domain joined. I showed it earlier. Yeah, this is... Yep, this is just domain joined. But if it was Entra, it'll... If it was hybrid, it does the same thing.
the
So this...
DS-Reg leave will help with the hybrid piece, if anything.
Yeah, well, we have that covered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, this delivery mechanism is... I'm just staging it. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to put mine in C. You can host this somewhere, write a script that kicks it off. Really whatever you want. But it does have to run a system. So I'm going to open...
Steve, I'm sorry, just a triple check in the config.
Yeah.
You deleted which app bridge?
The target. Oh, the wrong
Okay.
one. Yeah, I did the wrong one.
I was just sorry. It was just dawning on me that
Yeah, good call.
So what do you use the target for, though, just to re-summarize that? That's to
If
do
you're
the
migrating. The target's if
And-
you're migrating. And that is all in the documentation. See, that's the good thing. The documentation's correct. I'm not. Hold on. I got screwed up. Yeah, let's fix that, actually.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Take two.
But you do it for the autopilot registration, the group tag, right? That's a couple of the main things that the
Yes. So let's do
target
that.
app bridge
Yeah,
is for.
exactly. So let's kill that. Because it's open in another... Oh. Yeah, we can kill that. Okay. All right, so let's take two on that. Let's copy this. Call it domain to cloud migration. We'll kill the Intune Win file. And we will open with code. Yeah, so what we're ultimately doing here is, yeah, we need to keep the target. So we're actually going to take those values and paste them in source. There we go. And now we can get rid of target. You basically don't need the target block if you're not migrating. If you're just doing domain to cloud. And I'm gonna add my group tag this time because I don't have one. So I'm gonna add M365 so it shows up in the right place.
You could still leave that labeled as source tenant.
It has to be.
Has to be.
And that's in the docs. That's in the documentation. So again, the documentation is accurate. I'm not. Okay. Let's take domain to cloud. Now let's put it on our share. We'll do this one since it doesn't have it already. And we'll go back.
Let me know if you hear my kids singing while brushing their teeth behind me.
I don't. Can you make them louder?
Good.
We might have to turn them up a little bit. Domain to cloud migration. All right. So we are good to go. Let me just make sure this has the file we want. Notepad. No, this is the wrong one. Oh, I don't think it didn't overwrite. Here, let's start over. So let's do... There we go. So, what is this doing? Do we need to add the brackets for group tag? No, group tag should... Here, I'm going to open the config file again so we can see what it should look like. Yeah, so group tag should just be in quotes, like a string. And I got my source tenant, and I'm all set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the command prompt as an admin. And do I have PS exec on here? I don't. Let's get our PS tools to run this. We always use PS tools to run things as exec. Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. All right, so same deal. We have all our local documents. We are logged in as Rick Jones, Rick.Jones, whatever. That's our profile. And now I'm going to open command in PS Tools to simulate the correct deployment running a system. So again, whether you do that with another app, a task, RMM tool, it's going to run a system. So I'm going to navigate to that directory, and we're going to do PowerShell, exe, execution, policy, bypass, start migrate PS1. And we should see the same thing. I'll close these. And let's see if I can migrate to pure enter join only. Live on the internet.
Yeah, this is where I've done like a task scheduler setup plus
Yep.
a shortcut for said task in the start menu, just to get
Right,
the end user.
and we'll be adding these to the docs right now. There's many different ways to do this part, so we'll see. It looks good so far. I did see an error, but I don't know if that was just bad logging or not. So we might have a problem with this one. This one I could always snap back, though. So we are about to be signed out. That's good. What is this going to cost? You listening to my voice. Having to put up with this voice. This is an open source project. This is community contribution. Line of sight required. No. So that is a great question. So what's going to happen is you actually can't have line of sight the way we break it, because we use the built-in admin, so we detect for line of sight. If you don't have line of sight, you're fine. If you do, we break it with a DNS change, and you're good to go. So if you have an RMM tool, you could do this remotely on domain joined machines.
Yeah, this way you don't have to actually put in any domain admin creds or anything.
I'll change that. I'll change. There's a part in the documentation that states otherwise. It's a bit confusing, so I will update that. So thank you everyone for bearing. That's what it is. It's free 99 for bearing with me. So I appreciate it. Yeah, it works pretty well. I'll show you the piece of the code that does that. Okay, so we are migrating. Same thing. I can't log in because I'm blocked out. I just don't know if we had an account issue with getting the user account here. I feel like we might. But I will check that and see what the deal is.
So basically it should have prompted if...
It looked like it was installing AZ accounts, which means it should prompt. But, oh, awesome. Yeah, for sure. But I don't think it did that, so I think I just might have a hiccup here. I have to look, though, through it. Welcome to Rubik's Dev. So if I sign in, it just might have a profile discrepancy on this one. Yep, it reverts back to default. It goes away, so you'd never see that again. It's only the first time. So if it creates the profile here, yeah, so it didn't pre-build it. So let me take a look at what happened.
So you saw it start downloading the module that would have
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's the wrong. Hold on. I'm trying to see what happened. But you see, because it was never joined to Intune, it's now going through enrollment and enter join. So it is enter joining and Intune enrolling, and it won't be domain join. So what we have here is a slight hiccup on the account. but we're going to be we're still going to be good. We just got to clean that up. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to find this.
Technically, I guess if you have ESP disabled at the default profile level, then it should technically skip.
Yeah.
Again, we're not.
Yeah, I left it on for this. New headers equals if chart headers. Actually, this will be good. What we'll do is once we're in the machine, I will go through and we'll open the log so we can kind of figure out what happened, because that's a good opportunity to talk about some troubleshooting. I am going to be right back. I'm going to take a brief break, not running ads. So, Jesse, I want you to entertain everyone while this is doing it. I'm literally going to the bathroom. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
All right, we'll see how long this takes here, but yeah, the account setup when it comes to autopilot, period, we always skip this screen in general. Timing's a little unpredictable with account setup, so that's usually a high-level recommendation. And in the past, when this solution was on 6.2 and it was for reboots, we usually disabled the baseline ESP overall, right? So that way it wouldn't, again, just sit for too long and time out at this screen potentially. But longest it would take, usually worst case, is like 15-20 minutes, give or take. This is all from his end, so I can't touch it or anything until he's back. I guess with the latest version here, if it should be disabled, period. I guess at the default level, yeah, because whenever we build it out for a brand new autopilot device being deployed, like we usually will create additional profiles and then assign each profile to whichever, dynamic device group / group tag for autopilot. So I would say for the baseline default ESP, I would probably still recommend nuking it even for, even though the migration solution's now been updated and it's less screens. Right. I mean, Steve, would you agree with that? The question is,
Yeah, I always nuke it.
Again, at least at the default one.
Yeah.
And then you could have separate ones per group tag / group.
Yeah, there's no reason for it here. This might be something with my lab. My lab did this the other day, too. It was kind of annoying. But
I was explaining why this is why everybody always recommends nuking account ESP for autopilot, especially just because the timing's unpredictable.
Yeah, always. I would always do it. In fact, it's in the docs to nuke it. So again, follow the documentation, not necessarily me. I was just trying to get in and look at what's going on.
I've sometimes been able to cheat at this point and force reboot the system once or twice to get past this, but
it looks like I'm trying to see the problem. I'm trying to figure out what happened in the accounts area. But that's all part of the live fun. We'll just wait. In the meantime, let's actually go back and look at the this device. Intune devices. Oh, because we didn't fix the group tag. That's why. Yeah, everything looked pretty good here. We got device configurations applying to the device. This is the first one we migrated. We have our managed apps, some installed, some failed, just like normal, right? So it's in full swing, right? But I don't believe the recovery key is not found in. Yeah, one thing that's been happening, and we got to look at, is if you look at the So it does take up to an hour now for the Intune and Entra migrated records to sync objects. Because if you look at this one, it doesn't say Intune. See that? Object ID, so device ID is BA, and in here the device ID is A4. So it seems to take some time now for that to happen. But that just might be a back-end thing, we're starting to think, because they eventually do sync up with each other. But we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, the second one now I assume at least has the group tag, hopefully, correctly.
The package from WCD stays the same in both scenarios. Yes. So the package basically is where you're going. So if you're domain join and you're going just to your own cloud tenant, the package has to be pointed at that. If you're migrating tenants from A to B, your package needs to be pointing at B. So as long as it's where the destination is, essentially. What do you want me to do? Force reboot this?
I don't know. You wait another minute or two if you want, but sometimes I get lucky. Force reboots.
Now I'll do the I'll force reboot it.
Figure we'll get the file anyway at this point.
We'll give it a second.
Do you see the second one up there yet?
What?
Do you see the second device up there yet, or are you waiting to get a name?
Oh, I don't know what I was waiting for.
Oh, I don't know what your screen just did.
Oh, I was rebooting this device. So let me do that. Okay.
That's weird. In our chat here, I just see a narrow, thin screen of your folders here.
Let me fix that for you.
Thank you kindly.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we did make it in, but we're probably gonna have 2 user profiles.
I don't know if it's going to bring you back to ESP. Hopefully not.
Well, if it does, I'll be very mad. Oh, it didn't.
See, sometimes it works.
Wow, and all the policy applied too. But we lost all our stuff because of the second user profile. So let's, see, this is what happens if we go to users. There's 2 of them. So this is the new one. And Rick Jones would be the original that has, I don't have permissions to. So let's see what happened. See program data, Microsoft, Intune, my group management extension. This is where we put the logs. So we really just want the start migrate logs. Okay.
Which module is it again? Yeah, I forget.
It would be, so we're old group tag, old SAM name, unauthorized. You get package already. Successfully wrote old SID. Invoke REST method. Oh, it did try to get it, but I wonder if we unauthorized. Okay, we just had a graph error for some reason. Let's look at the file again. So domain to cloud. Edit in Notepad.
And again, you said it has to be labeled source, even though it's really the destination.
Correct, because if you look at what the script is doing, it's going to look at whatever you have. So basically it's going to say, here, I'll jump down to it. It's going to say, Come on. Yeah, so right here.
So if
Yeah,
it's
new headers. If there are target headers, then the new headers equal the target headers. Else, they equal the source headers. So if you don't have a target, it's the source. So if you're doing domain to cloud, you're going to want to make it source.
okay.
I guess it could have been either or, but still. So I'm just going to check the source credentials to make sure that they were good, because source tenant, yeah. Let's see.
You could just run that chunk individually. Let's see.
I could. So this is the source. Just want to make sure that I didn't copy and paste the wrong thing. Applications, app registrations. Migration V7 expiring soon. This was it. So the 7FD one, 7FD, and the secret. So yeah, see, that's what I meant. You can't see it, but it starts with ANU. ANU. Yeah, that was right. I wonder why it couldn't. It couldn't do it. And let me just make sure it got the. Check a few other things. Start migrate. Old Sam name. Old Sid. Username with rating old Sid. So.
Yeah, where the header's actually getting defined.
They're up above. So. Yeah. Oh, failed to authenticate to Rubik's. No, we couldn't. Yeah, it kept running, so my exit script didn't work. Yeah, you're right, it didn't authenticate. Authenticating source. The remote name cannot be resolved. What? Did I spell my own tenant name wrong? RubixDev.com. That's weird.
That is certainly the primary or federated domain.
The remote name cannot be resolved. Login.microsoftonline.com. What?
Is it like the right? Where do you invoke? Where do you get the token there in the script? I guess just to see that part.
So I mean that's all the way up here. So there's a function.
Okay.
That pulls it out. So tenant name is tenant name. And we pass it the... So basically what we do is we say, if the string for source tenant is null or empty, skip it. But if not, do this. And this looks like where it errored. Tenant name, config, source tenant, tenant name, client ID, source tenant, client secret. Tenant name, client ID, client secret.
And it said the log said source tenant found in JSON settings, right? Just making sure we got to the
I believe so. Yeah, let's look. Oh, wrong one. Source tenant found in JSON. Yeah. So invoke. That's weird. Let's.
And it even said exiting script, but I guess it didn't really exit it at that point.
Yeah, I think I left that off for my testing. To be able to collect, to let it grab everything. So config.source tenant, and then it checks down here. It does the same thing for target, but obviously there is no target. So it definitely tried to authenticate source tenant, tenant name. Does that need to be capital? Probably not. Source tenant name. That's weird that it worked the first time and not this time. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, so that's kind of a good thing to show, right? Even if you had a problem, what you would just have to do is come back in as an admin or as system and move the old docs over to the new ones. I mean, but just to show like a few other things while we troubleshoot that. if we were to do dsreg command, actually here, cmd. Again, this was the domain join machine. Let's take a look. We are Azure AD join, yes. Domain join, no. So we did leave the domain. We wound up in Azure. And we are Intune enrolled. So 21723. Let's go back and look at that. Windows devices. 21723. Yep. Yeah, we just couldn't update the primary user because of that. I might check out those logs too, actually. C program data. Oh, that's not what I want. Logs. Post migrate.
Bad request.
Authenticated to source tenant. Bad request. Yeah, weird that it worked for the other one. So we're going to have to go through that and see what's different about. It's probably just some logic.
You know what? Because you only have source tenant and not target tenant. That's kind of why I was asking about the naming.
Right, but it should know not to look for that though. So I think we're going to go over that. But yeah, so we'll get to that. So essentially, if you're doing if you're currently looking to do the cloud to cloud, like the Intune tenant to tenant, we're fine. Looks like there's just going to be some logic in the domain to cloud, but we can, here, let's open that back up. So if we go back to post migrate, so basically we're saying if target exists, authenticate, your headers are target, else authenticate with source tenant.
Okay.
Right, so that's pretty much it. And then we use headers through the whole thing. So that should have worked. So for some reason we're not authenticating on that source. Well, we can look through that. Group tag. Oh, let's see if we fixed the group tag issue. That would be nice to fix that. M365. Yeah, M365. Cool. Not order ID. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Bad request, but you know what the funny thing is? It did it looks like it registered it in autopilot.
It's almost like mad now that we fixed the order ID part.
It's mad. Oh, no, it still came up. Is that the right one? Yeah. No, it still came up order ID. But that's weird because the authentication worked to put it in autopilot, but not to get the user stuff. So we'll take a second look at that. Cool. Well, we won't keep you through that, but for everyone watching, I super appreciate today. There's got to be some looking over. What's going to happen? Yep. Are the ads delayed? Yeah. Okay. I should have delayed the ads. If what's going to happen is Jesse's going to look through everything and he's going to come back and he's going to say, here's your problem. And it's going to be a spelling error because that's usually what it is. But, you know, I appreciate everyone participating. Feel free to get, I would say give us some time. We are going to make changes later today once we figure out what's going on here. Go through the documentation. For some reason, tenant to tenant works, so you're free to test that. and we'll obviously be providing updates on the channel, in the Discord. So I'll put a few links in here. Obviously, if you're not part of the Discord, although I'm sure most of you are, please feel free to join in there, so we can continue chatting and looking at stuff. And I don't know, Jesse, you got any other thoughts?
No, I mean, we just gotta see why it just didn't give us that OAuth pop-up really at this point for the domain scenario.
Yep, yep.
That's,
And then look at
it's
the original auth. But I think it's going to come down to just a spelling error or something. So I'll thank Jesse in advance for helping me with that. And for everyone else, this will be live. This will be on YouTube. You can rewatch it, and we got more videos coming this week. So we'll be seeing you later.
Later.
Whew.